Hi there everyone, this is Demari and welcome to my YouTube channel. I know the layout's a bit different this time because you can see my face, but I figured it would be nice to just change it up a little bit and so you can see who I am. So to begin with, I will be pulling, just to let you know, I'll be pulling cards from the Intuitive Tarot deck, and this reading is in terms of your career and personal growth, and this is for the sign of Capricorn. So I hope you find this interesting. So we'll shed light on where it is that you're currently at with your career or interests or your current line of work, and where it is that you wish to be heading, a bit of clarity on the things that could be holding you back, things like that. So just so it's clear, and hopefully it'll give you some interesting guidance in regards to your work life. So let's just have a look, shall we? So what is the current situation for Capricorn in terms of their career? Okay, so you got a Six of Cups in reverse. So I feel like for many of you that you haven't quite worked out what it is that you want. Okay, I think that for some of you, you're kind of coasting by, but you're not entirely sure what it is that you feel like you should be doing or want to be doing. You may have an inkling of your interests, but there's nothing that's really like concrete in your mind right now. So you may be feeling a bit kind of like you're just going with the flow and, directionless. But it's also not allowing you to really feel any sense of fulfillment or happiness in what you're doing. You're just kind of like, it's not bad, but it's not great either. I'm just kind of there. That's the kind of feeling I get with this. So yeah, that needs addressing, obviously. It's not because we have to have like an ultimate goal or have everything worked out. It's just focus gives you energy. Having a focus gives you a reason to get up. It brings structure to your life, and that helps to bring like feelings of self-worth and contentment, right? If we feel like we're doing something, being is good, being is important, but if we don't have something that we can pour into, then we kind of feel just a bit lost, and I feel like that's where you are right now. Okay, so it's finding that balance. Okay, you've got one aspect of the scale down, but you need to find the other one. So just want to have a look then in terms of what it is that you have as a strength, right, in regards to what can be used to help you find this passion of yours, right, or at least discover what it is that you may have an interest in, rather than just what you're doing because you're doing it, right, because it gives you income, or it allows you to just have that stability, but there's no real thought going into what you're doing, right? So what will help you find what it is that you're truly passionate about? Okay, Ten of Cups. So I feel like you have a lot of what they call soft skills, right? I feel like you'd be very good in a counseling position, or mentoring, providing guidance, helping people to overcome difficulties or see the best in themselves. So some kind of coaching, right? You could be very good in a kind of a coaching position. Yeah, I've got a Lovers in reverse just fly out now, so it could be that you'd be a great marriage counsellor, or maybe some of you already been thinking about that, or maybe you'd be good at social work, mental health. Yeah, I feel like it's very humanistic, whatever it would be. Maybe you're someone who could work as a consultant, or maybe even a spiritual advisor. I think that would be very good for some of you. You may have some tremendous awareness and knowledge in regards to, uplifting the spirit. So maybe that's something you could really look into. So yeah, something along those lines. I feel like because you have so much to offer and you have the perfect grounding for like providing that emotional support, but without being overwhelmed by the emotions itself. Like you have a very grounded, stable base to come from, that you're very grounded in yourself, so you're able to still empathize and support, but not become overcome by the energies and the emotions. So that's really important. Something to worth thinking about, right? I'm sure that will resonate with some of you, if not quite a few of you. So yeah, have a think about that, in terms of like your best traits, right? And what it is that people often gravitate towards you for. What is it that people usually ask of you or tell you, in regards to yourself, right? Because that will give you an indication of what you could potentially be very good at. But I feel like it's very much on a humanistic level. Yeah, you've got Queen of Wands in the upright. So I feel like, yeah, you'd be very good at alchemizing a situation, helping people to see through their emotions and take positive action so they can change their lives, right? I feel like that's kind of the energy you embody. Like, you can bring out the best in people even when they're going through the worst, right? Because you have this really stable footing. And you're very aware of your own qualities. I feel like you are already aware of certain qualities you have. It's just you haven't really taken the next step and thought, well, okay, so how can I implement that in my work? Like, how can I use that to my benefit, right? So that, it helps others, and I'm not just, kind of doing it occasionally, whatever, but I can actively be of service, right? So, yeah, interesting, Capricorn. So now what I want to look at is the things that have been holding you back, right? What is it that stopped you from really discovering your passion? Because there's bound to be something. I don't think it's just the universe holding you back. I think you've been holding yourself back, or circumstances or individuals have been holding you back. So I just want to see what that could be. Okay, you've got the Knight of Swords in reverse. So I think for some of you it'll be a case of not wanting to bow down to societal pressure to move forward. I think for some of you it's a case of you've just not had a moment of clarity with it yet. It could be that some of you had maybe a father or an older brother that was kind of trying to push you down a direction, and you were just like, I don't want to do that. They may be forcing you to go and study things you didn't want to study, so you kind of just rebelled, and you didn't end up doing that in the end. And you've just been kind of in limbo since. It could be that because the education you received wasn't adequate, it didn't cater for your learning style, so you ended up having to try and find your own way, but you didn't really feel like you weren't able to do that successfully for whatever reason, so you just kind of left it. I feel like for some of you, you just didn't know what to study. You didn't know what would be your interest, and you still don't know. You just kind of try things that come along sometimes. That you think, okay, yeah, I can do that. If someone asks you for something, or or maybe, like I said, someone's been steering you down a path that you didn't want to go. Yeah, I feel like it just didn't feel right. Whatever it was, it just didn't resonate, and that's why you've just kind of been in limbo for a while. I'm not really sure where you should be headed, but I think it's time to gain some clarity. Oh, stop it, keep flying. Ah, the Hierophant, okay. So you may need to get some advice. Dog's barking as always. You may need to get some advice from someone who you know you can rely on to get sound advice, okay? It may be that you have maybe an interest that you've been, I don't know, just playing with the idea of, but you know someone who is in that line of work and that can really help you to see whether or not that's something you could do. Or it may be that you just need to step into that role yourself, because you have this about you. You're very good at teaching, nurturing, coaching, supporting, counseling, whatever it is, whatever shape that takes. You may have to just start stepping into that role more. And this is, again, very relevant to your shadow work reading, because I feel like you generally see the good in people, right? You're one of those people that can, despite how messed up the situation is, you know, you can see the person's true intent, right? So say if, you know, you see someone who's having a really rough time and, you know, they may be like acting really weird, or you know, they've caused problems between people, but you know they're good, they're just really struggling and no one's really willing to listen to them. You know, you're someone who'd be able to see that and you would go and speak to them, right? So I feel like that kind of work could be really good for you. I mean, of course, if that's something you're interested in. If it's not, then don't, right? But if it's something that you feel like you could do and you're passionate about helping people in some way, then you should look into that. You know, see what you need in order to fulfill that role, right? So it's important to consider your options and look into what they are, because I feel like that Hierophant card, it represents you, right? What you should be stepping into. You're that kind of person, right, that can fulfill that kind of role. So it's important that you look into it. So now what I want to address is I want to address what direction you're moving towards. Okay, so what it is that you'd be stepping into, essentially. Because I feel like, as I said, whatever it is, it's kind of from a very humanistic kind of angle. But I'm curious as to where that could lead. Okay, 3 of Cups. So you really could put yourself in a role where you can really transform people's lives, right? Like seriously transform people's lives for the better. And you would get great fulfillment and joy out of seeing their progress, out of seeing them overcome these obstacles. And you would partake in that celebration, right, of overcoming the challenges and, you know, living life again in the fullest and happiest way, right? So I feel like that's really an important call for you. I think that's something you really have to think about, because it does also come with emotional fulfillment for yourself, right? Seeing other people overcome their challenges and knowing that you were there to support them through it, that's going to be highly rewarding for you. So do consider that. Because I think that would give you that fulfillment that you're looking for. It would give you that sense of purpose that you're currently lacking. I mean, of course, this is only if this resonates with you, this reading. But I think for some of you, it really will. And so just think about it. Think about all the times when you've helped people. Think about all the times people have been really grateful and how that made you feel, right? So now what I want to look at is the overall outcome that you can expect. Okay. So you've got the Eight of Pentacles. I feel like yeah, I feel like that's transformatory for many people. I feel like changing lives again, allowing people to see the abundance that they would otherwise have had, right? That they didn't see, that they couldn't see for a long time. You're going to help them to see that. You're going to give them the reason to feel abundant, okay? You're going to help them to work through their issues and see that there is a way out. And because of that, you're going to be very blessed in life also. Maybe not as much financially as like, you know, a tycoon or something, but I feel like you will receive blessings similar ones, right? You'll be fulfilling a life purpose that you didn't know you had. And because of that, that will bring blessings in many forms that you didn't know you would otherwise receive. I feel like that's the key thing here to know. That as much as you'll be touching the lives of others and transforming them, your life will be transformed as a result. Okay? So that's incredible energy. That's like so beautiful, you know. That's how it works, right? Mm-hmm. That's like real karmic justice, I guess. But yeah, I would love to know your thoughts on this. Just to recap, so it's clear. You're not feeling like you have a sense of direction because you know that you have a greater purpose that you could be fulfilling, and you're not doing that right now. You have all these traits that allow you to provide support, particularly for those most in need. You're a very good person to offer that guidance, coaching, counsel, whatever it is. And if you really explore that and tap into your skill set and, you know, look into what you need to make it happen, then you can become very successful in that, and you can literally transform the lives of those you work with. So I think that's really rewarding. I think that's a really beautiful read for you, Capricorn, and that definitely works with your energies as well. So do let me know if this resonates in the comments. If you liked it, hit the thumbs up, and do subscribe if you haven't already. So thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to doing your next read.